Hey, my name is Brett, and I am an editor here at O'Reilly Media. And one of the most interesting things about the iPad for us is that we're all trying to design and develop for a device we've never held. So even though the SDK gives us kind of an approximation, that's very different from looking at an application running and turning this thing and seeing what it does. So what we wanted to do over the next week or so while we're waiting for this thing to actually show up is take some really popular iPhone apps like MLB.com and Fluent News and see what it really means to take an app that runs on this and then blow that up. And so Mark Reese, who's one of our creatives and designers, is going to come in, and we're just going to kind of talk about this. How do you design something for a much bigger form factor? Hopefully it'll spark some ideas in you. We'll have several of these over the next week, so you should check back every day. So hope you'll get something out of this, and if nothing else, maybe your iPad apps will look better as a result. So the app we're looking at is Fluent News. Fluent News is a news aggregator, and the biggest thing that I want to see on an iPad version is just some room. I mean, this is a lot of text, and if I scroll all these articles, I mean, these are all within the last 2 or 3 hours, so there's a lot of information coming across. And then once you pick an article, you really are kind of at the mercy of the individual article to see how it's formatted and if there's much space or not. So space seems like a big deal. And then all these different sections that you can have. Organization, again, other than world at the top, I still feel just kind of overwhelmed. So I'm curious to see what the real estate of the iPad gives us on an app like this. It's just really aggregation of a whole lot of information. Okay, so I have Fluent News drawn up here, and this is an app that I actually use quite a bit. It's aggregating all kinds of different news sites, CNN, ABC News. But there's not a lot of flash to it. So how do you approach an app like this that's really just a large scrolling list and a few options?
Whenever I think about simple aggregators like this or readers, first of all, I would flip this.
Okay.
It's kind of the default view for things now. You have widescreen monitors, widescreen TVs.
Right.
Everything's getting wider and wider.
And everything on the iPhone or the iPad has to flip, right? You have to deal with.
Yeah, you have to be able to deal with all four orientations.
Okay.
So you flip it over to a friend,
right.
whatnot.
Okay.
So let's just draw a simple wireframe of what I think this would look like. First, let's deal with the list that they currently give you. Here's your list, because this is roughly would be the same size as an iPhone.
So you've taken this piece here, I guess, like this little section, you're just sticking up here.
Yeah, just stick it there.
So it's about the same size and everything then. I mean, like physically on the iPad, this is about the same size.
Yeah, and where the difference was once you click it here, it's like an email reader.
Okay.
Just it throws your story up here.
So where this would take you over, like there's an animation where this flies out, you're just putting it on the same.
Yeah, and that's the biggest benefit right now that the iPad gives you is just more real estate. As a user, I don't want to have to dive down into stories or into content. I want to be able to touch here and see it here and be able to get to other places without leaving.
So definitely more like
screen.
A desktop kind of feel where you're not, you don't have things sliding around.
Just a lot more fun to touch things and to click on things.
I buy that.
Yeah. So the next thing is they do really good at integrating with Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah. Go ahead, I'm going to satisfy my type A.
So Twitter and Facebook, and again, right now what you have to do is click on share, and then it pulls up another menu. So I would just add some simple icons right here, an email, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever.
And so is this where you would maybe type in whatever you have, or what's being used here?
I don't know, because your keyboard would have to come up.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly how that would happen. If you click on it and it just wipes everything, you type your message, or it might just be a predetermined link that gets automatically tweeted or sent to your Facebook
and I've seen
status.
Overlays too, which would be kind of cool.
Overlays would be nice. Yeah.
Okay, like a lightbox kind of effect.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, again, that's up to your design team to figure out how it works best for your app, because it's not going to be the same for every app.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Another thing that since you have more real estate, you have your articles that Fluent News is pushing to you, but then you can also, you can now have room for related content. So you have related articles.
So this related button would drop in here.
Right. Yeah.
So I can see that all at once now. I mean, that seems to be one of the things you're doing is you're letting me see a lot more. At one time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Another thing, So I've read this article and I'm really digging it.
Right.
I want to flip it over to portrait view.
Okay.
I want to flip it over. I want to get my article. I want to see related links, not just to other stories, other articles, but maybe it's a website. Maybe it's the latest about the NFL draft or whatnot. I want to go to NFL.com, or I want to go to ESPN.com, or sites that deal specifically with the draft. So
this isn't exactly a mapping to this. These are related links, but this is
links to external websites, not just articles about whatever.
Okay.
If it's about breast cancer, it's not just articles about breast cancer. It's sending you to the Susan G. Komen website.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead and throw in your related articles as well.
Right. So the articles here, I guess it scrolls?
Yeah, you can scroll, sure.
Because there's more space. See, this looks so small when I think about an iPad, but this is probably...
It's probably about the same that you would get on your original iPhone. You can scroll here.
Okay.
This might be a side swipe, sending you to different links.
Okay.
This might be a side swipe for different articles. Another thing too, you can see comments about an article here. You can have all your comments, and this can scroll as well.
So this is a pretty big shift, because on the iPhone, if you rotate, at least on the apps I'm thinking of, like Twitter and TweetDeck and even CNN, you're just getting the same content, but you're completely changing what's visible when you're rotating it, right?
Yeah.
Because other than the article, nothing here. I guess that's here, but you're not just changing the orientation. You're actually changing the whole layout of things.
Yeah, because again, with a larger real estate, you don't have to scroll down to the bottom of something to see something. You can see everything at once and scroll individual windows, and you didn't have that type of real estate on the iPhone.
Do you think that's disorienting, or do you use a different transition? Because on the iPhone, you literally kind of see the screen rotate in place.
Yeah, it'd probably be the same thing. Again, that's up to your developers. You wouldn't. It's not the same for everything, but you can make it nice and sexy with a spin.
Yeah, because I definitely don't think you need some visual indicator that things have changed.
Yeah, you're definitely transitioning from screen 1 to screen 2.
Right.
So the user needs to know, okay, this is vastly different from what I just had.
Right.
So.
And this, development-wise, this is kind of tricky, because now if they click on some links and they go back, there's a lot of usability into, like, what do we go back to?
Yeah. And that's just good storyboarding. It's just, you make sure that all of your links and your clicks actually do something.
So I guess looking at this, the biggest thing I wasn't expecting was that you really didn't do anything fancy. You just took a bunch of individual pieces and put them in different spots.
Yeah, and that's just taking baby steps. Right now, you have to be on the iPad. So don't worry about throwing up new features and new content and new functionality. You just need to migrate from iPhone to iPad. So just do what it takes to get on the iPad, and then you can figure out the rest after that.
So you're doing more than just porting, but it still sounds like you're taking all the assets and just kind of...
Yeah, you're customizing for the iPad without a wildly different app.
Okay, so let's see how this looks.
Cool. All right, so we're going to dig into Photoshop a little bit, and I have pulled up some screenshots of Fluent News. You can see it's just a basic list of sections, and then on a different screen, you have a list of stories, and then you click on a story.
So these are just the different swipes.
Yes, it's all just your different swipes or different screens. So, as we talked about, what the iPad does is it allows you to have multiple things on the same screen. So all I've done here is I've taken the navigation and I've just combined two screens all on the same page. And then whenever you click on a story...
So each of these is a swipe that we talked about.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the story now has room to load all on the same page. So you can just browse through your different stories without having to dive down deeper.
Okay. And then, did you add, was that image already in the article? Probably just took up more space?
Yeah. It was already in there. It's just formatted a little bit different now.
So this is really a straightforward transition over.
Yeah, you can add different things. You can add some pagination down here to where you can swipe pages, or you can scroll it, whatever works for your app.
So this is kind of encouraging because there's you didn't do any graphics for this at all?
No.
You basically just moved over those individual panes.
Yep, it's just moving things around.
But it looks a lot. It looks a lot better. It looks like it would fit on the iPad.
Yeah, definitely. And the same thing. If let's say you wanted to, let's see, rotate canvas clockwise. Let's say you want to go to portrait view.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just moving things around.
Right.
You know, you probably wouldn't have all of the same information. You'd want your article.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and then down here, you know,
so this gives you all kinds of flexibility having just done it.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically previs.
Yeah, you can have, you know, arrange it however you want. You have your related stories down here. You can have your comments, but you have your main story up top, and then different links like we talked about before.
I'm not a Photoshop guy, but this is all pretty easy stuff. So I could see, even as a developer, working like this before I started coding it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, nice. That was a pretty simple one. So this was really interesting for me, not having gone through this process before. I think the thing that struck me most about Fluent News and just iPad in general is we were able to take all of the existing content on the iPhone app and largely just move it over. So there wasn't a lot of reinvention and a lot of redesign, and as a developer, that's really kind of exciting because it means I can get my apps onto the iPad without having to reinvent an entire user interface. I'm just assembling components in a different way. So before you throw out everything you've got, build a new target in Xcode, and get ready to completely trash your interface builder comps, see if you can maybe move some things around, reuse what you already have, and then just put it into a better kind of container that fits the iPad.